Okay, today we are going to discuss the fundamentals of disaster recovery. So this will be the objective of this lecture. First, I will tell you between disaster recovery and business impact analysis and business continuity. Then different terminologies will be described. Then technologies what are present for this disaster recovery. Then identify a suitable topology for deployment for a disaster recovery solution. So, what is the impact of disaster? It leads to loss of revenue, then loss of customers, and the loss of goodwill for an organization. These three. Okay, we are talking about the impact of disaster. So they have highlighted it like importance of disaster recovery. So both can be seen that importance of disaster recovery will prevent. So add prevent before loss and revenue loss of customer and loss of goods. So it's like what is the importance of disaster recovery? It prevents the loss of revenue, it prevents the loss of customers as well as prevents the loss of goodwill. Disaster is categorized in two categories. One is the natural and other is the man-made. So there are some figures given that loss of revenue per hour due to different uh, okay, some students are joining. Yashwarya joined the classroom session. I'm teaching over there. So you can get the audio at this place, but the PPT is not visible. Okay. So there was a disruption because some student has joined in the course room. So we have seen the importance of disaster recovery that it prevents these three loss where loss of revenue, loss of customer, and loss of goodwill. Then disasters are of two type, natural and man-made. Then these are some figures given, but this figures is an old figure coming from 2000. So this was the loss per hour due to some disaster on these sectors. Okay, so this figures updated table is required, but this is an assumption that how 20 years back this disaster is affecting the organization's revenue. Now, talking about the difference between disaster recovery, that is known as DR, and business continuity planning or business continuity as BCP. So these are very important difference to be highlighted, and this is disaster recovery is technology focused. That means disaster recovery talks about different technological solutions for providing the solutions to prevent the loss of revenue, loss of customers, and loss of goodwill. As a counterpart, business continuity planning provides you a plan, and that is more oriented to the business focus only. That means what is the return of interest, what will be the investment, how we can plan our uh, disaster recovery, how, what are the critical components to be restored, what are the non-essential not non-essential components that should be left as a part of disaster recovery solutions. So this is more about business. Business continuity planning is business focused entity. When it compares to disaster recovery, it is a technology focused technology. So there is one more term known as the BIA. BIA is a part of BCP. So and BIA has limited contribution to towards BCP. So don't take them as the same thing. Like BIA and BCP both are. So BIA is a limited scope. BIA is a business oriented thing is there, but BIA calculates the impact or loss of revenue due to the disaster, whereas BCP consists of whole planning. So BIA is only the impact calculation, that how disaster will hamper our business, but based on this data that is created by the BIA will be used in business continuity planning. So if you talk about disaster recovery, this DR is also a part of BC as BIA. This is a larger government, means this is a bigger part. Okay, then this is a reactive strategy and this is a proactive strategy. So whenever we talk about planning, plannings are always proactive. That means we pre-plan the solution before the disaster occurs. And disaster recovery solutions are reactive. That means when a disaster occurs, how the disaster response will provide the solution, will provide the um, eh, will mitigate the disaster impact of disaster. So this is a reactive strategy and this is a proactive strategy. So it helps recovering from the event and it helps anticipate and prevent a disaster. So BCP also works on the anticipation, that if this happens, what we can do. If that happens, how we will protect our system. So this is a kind of proactive, reactive, technology focus, as this is a business focus. So these are the important difference between disaster recovery and business continuity. Now, you have already seen this RPO, RTO. So again, if you want to go through the definitions, RPO, a definition of amount of data loss that deemed acceptable. That means how much data we can accept to be lost is known as the recovery point objective. It can vary from 0 to minutes to hours to days, depending on the criticality of the data and the solution we are using for our data protection. Then recovery point time objective, amount of time it takes from the initial disaster declaration to having the critical business process available to the user. So one important point is there, it RPO only calculates the critical business process to be restored. Not all the system is stored, only the critical process. So after that, MTD will be taking place, the remaining non-essentials component. So RPO only operates for the critical business processes. That target of the RTO should be to restore the critical business process as soon as possible. So the lower value of RPO as well as RTO is suggestible. So the lower will be the value, the better will be the solution. Now these are the three terminologies that DR focuses. So this is known as the RAS, where R stands for the reliability, A stands for the availability, and S stands for the serviceability. So reliability refers to the ability of a computer-related hardware or software component to consistently perform according to its specification. So reliability means that this is, if the particular component C, is reliable or not, that means it is providing the output correct or not. Okay, so for the duration, the longer the duration, the higher the reliability. That means the longer the duration of a particular component producing the correct result is the reliability of that particular system. So the more reliable the components, the more reliable will be the system. Now talking about availability, availability is the proportion of time in is in a system is in a functioning condition. So we have already gone through a definition of availability. That means it takes the ratio of uptime upon uptime plus downtime. So that means the time on the ratio on the time for which the system is functional upon the total time provides you availability. Serviceability is one more criteria that is not directly defined in the terms of numerals, but it is a kind of conceptual thing that the ease on which a component device or device component or system can be maintained or repaired. That means there are several technologies that helps in this attainment of high serviceability. That means we are having a concept of hot swap. Hot swap means that means we can directly change a component without stopping the system. So that provides ease of serviceability because it does not hamper the whole system while in servicing. So these kind of systems will support the serviceability. Second type of component like modular design. So if you have modular design, then we can easily focus on a particular module only in the case of errors. Now, in the terms of essential terminologies, we have already seen the definition of availability. This is the uptime upon uptime plus downtime. Then there are two new terms, MTBF and MTTR. So MTBF is the measure of how reliable a hardware product is. Okay. Then how this reliability is measured? This reliability is measured as the mean time between failures. So what is mean time between failures? That means if the system fails three times. Now look at the definition. If the system fails three times, what is the total time that the system is functioning? So this is the total time, and this total time the system fails three times. So this is known as the mean time between failures. That means how much time it takes between a failure. So if we do, if we can see that there are three failures. These are the failure points, and these are the system function points. So if there is three failures, we just divide by three to the total. Now MTBR mean time to MTTR mean time to repair is simply calculates the time, and this time is known as the downtime, total downtime by total number of failures. Okay, so yeah, it is somewhere calculation or representation of average time the system gets up. So if you calculate this is a downtime, this is a downtime, this is a downtime. So average downtime per error is known as the MTTR. So MTTR and availability is directly related by this formula. So this formula is something like availability is equals to MTBF upon MTBF plus MTTR. If you replace these values in this formula, you can directly calculate the availability using this. Now, these are the some terminologies used in disaster recovery. One is known as the latency. Latency can be termed as a delay. So these are some networking terminologies. Delay means this is a communication delay. So from source to destination, how much time it takes the packet or data travels from source to destination. So this is important because we are talking about the disaster recovery. So disaster recovery requires the data backup to be restored, or the mirroring process or the replication process is going on. So all these things will require this data communication, and the latency is one parameter that affects this recovery process. Then bandwidth you all know that this is the amount of speed a network link can provide. So it is measured in bps, kbps, mbps or gbps. Then we talk about DWDM. This is a fiber optical technology where multiplexing is provided by this technology to the fiber cable, where a single fiber cable can be used to carry the data from different sources. So this is a kind of multiplexing technology in the case of fiber optics. So again, why we are discussing DWDM here? Because the sites means the sites of an organization is connected to the fiber channels only. So that's why this DWDM technology is useful. Then FCIP is a protocol for long distance and faster communication. Okay. This also supports the distributed storage area network or DSAN. So that's why FCIP is different. FCIP is mainly used for SAN or storage area network. Then primary site or primary data center is referred to a location where the infrastructure or application hosted for the use on a daily to daily basis. So you can identify the primary site is the site for which we are talking about the solution. Okay. So the main site that we are focusing or the live infrastructure that is in production can be termed as a primary site. Now there is other site that is known as a near DR site. It is near DR site is looked as a second site located close by. It has to be synchronous distance. Okay. So suppose this is your DR site or primary site. Okay. So near to the primary site, we are having a near DR, and its role is for the synchronous replication. Now, what is synchronous replication? We will study it later. So, synchronous replication means that means live data is this infrastructure near DR site is having a replica, synchronous replica of this primary data site. This particular DR site is for the data protection. Then third point is a DR site or disaster recovery site. This is a designated distant location, maybe across the geographic. Okay, so we have seen like our primary site. So I'm just creating the storage, and this is your near DR site, which is having this synchronous replication, and there is a DR site. So DR site can work for the backup process. That means this is synchronous, but this is the backup process is asynchronous. So here your communication may be asynchronous only. Now we talk about the phases of DR planning. So DR is again similar process. First we plan the strategy. Okay, so we have to check that where the cycle is starting. So okay, so cycle is starting from getting acceptance. So getting acceptance from the senior management, that means you are planning for a disaster. Thereafter, so this can be your step one. First, you are getting acceptance from the senior management that you are going for a disaster recovery solution. Then second, you will be forming a disaster recovery team. Then third is your SLA will be defined. Then fourth is your pen is leaking. This is happening. Okay, so this is one, this is second step, this is third step. Fourth, in the fourth step, you plan the strategy. Fifth, you implement the strategy. In the sixth step, you test your strategy. And seventh will be a continuous process. That means you will improve your planning by inputting this test result in your solution. Okay, so these are the strategies. So if you talk about the first point, that means getting acceptance from the senior management seems like a very unimportant kind of activity, but it is important because we have already discussed about this capex. That means how much you are putting money in your disaster recovery planning. That means your disaster recovery plan should not exceed your expected impact loss due to disaster. So this value will be decided by the senior management only, that how much amount you can invest your disaster recovery. So this point is important. After this is accepted, that means you want this much of dollar to be invested in the disaster recovery planning. You will form a team, disaster recovery response team. Your kind of disaster recovery response team you will be creating. Then you will define the service level agreement. After this three has been defined, you will plan your strategy, that how will we tackle the disaster. After this strategy has been planned, you will implement the strategies and test the strategy, and the continuous improvement will be taking place. So we'll look at these steps in detail. So first is the getting acceptance. So in this stage, the senior management is involved, and it will helps in the decision making and how the plan helps for the organization. You have to provide this, that how much benefit we will be getting from this disaster recovery planning. Then after the acceptance is received, the next step will be the forming a DR team. So forming a DR team will have different types of technical expert to be involved, so that we can manage the disaster recovery plan in such a way that every component uh, can be considered for disaster recovery solution. So our disaster recovery solution will be exhaustive. That means it covers all the components of your organization. Now SLA. Second, third part is SLA. So SLA is important point, that what business units are under the organization is covered. That means what are the components that will be covered for the disaster recovery. Because organization having several components, so we cannot have all the components to be covered under the disaster recovery planning. Suppose an organization type of services. So an organization provides service one, different types of services, service one, service two, and service three. So every service has different types of SLA. So based on this SLA, the RPO, RTO will be different for different types of services. Okay. So uh, based on this RPO RTO, we have to define that particular unit will be covered or not covered in the case of disaster recovery. Now, what applications are the part of the plan for from each BPU? Now, out of this service, what kind of, like suppose this is a telecommunication company, so it provides a broadband service as well as a web service plus GSM service. So out of these three applications which we need to cover under the disaster recovery plan, we have to find out that. Then classification of application and data into multiple categories. So out of these applications, we have to categorize them based on the data. Then next point is the what are the key assets to be identified. So next point will be to find out the key assets of the organization. Okay. Then your organization comply with the regulation policy like ISO and others. So this is also important. So if you existing comply with the existing regulatory policy, the DR planning will be based on that only. So suppose an organization follows the ISO, so ISO has certain guidelines that in case of disaster, what to do, in case of fire, what to do, in case of earthquake, what to do, what can be your prevention mechanism, and what will be your communication link, what can be your prevention steps. So everything is defined based on these kind of regulatory policies. So if you are complying with a particular regulatory policy, it will be easier for a DR planner to find out a good solution for your organization. Then RPO and RTO needs to be determined. So you can see that this RPO RTO need not to be common. This can be something like a composite of all different applications. Now planning the DR strategy. So planning the DR strategy is first we examine the okay. First, examine the existing implemented recovery strategy and decide if we can meet the service of existing strategy. So first, what we do, we will use the existing strategy and check if that particular strategy can be helpful for us or not. If that if is okay, so when you find out a particular strategy to be implemented, then we will find out that if those particular recovery strategy can meet our decided RPO RTO, because RPO RTO is not a not only a numerical value, it decides your planning of backup mechanism. It also decides that you will be using a synchronous replication, asynchronous replication, or backup NDR. So this is a very important point that decides your disaster recovery planning. Then document all the policies, then determine the location where operations will be carried out. Then these are the different plans you can go through that. These are the steps like number of people required, then SLA, then vendors availability at the far site. So different sites will be identified, that what should be the hot site, what should be the warm side, what should be the cold side, how communication link is established. So these are all in and comes under the planning of disaster DR strategy. So next phase will be implementation of this strategy. So this strategy will be like equipment purchase, then physical per plan, then signing the SLA, then equipment staging and feedback. After this particular strategy is implemented, we will start the testing cycle. So testing cycle will be start and finding out if there is any point of improvement is there. So if we find out any point of improvement, that can be implemented and refined our existing solution. So this that was the whole DR process. Now we will go through what are the DR techniques. Techniques not are present in this tree. So this is known as a DR technology tree. So on the root we are having this DR technology, then HA clusters. We have already discussed the HA clusters, then replications and backup. So thing we have done and this thing we have done, we will look at replication, how replication works in this particular lecture. So okay, just going through this tree. So HA clusters can be physical or virtual, compute storage and compute storage. Now coming to this replication, we have synchronous replication as well as asynchronous replication. So again, the three leaves are software, hardware, and backup means vaulting, tape, and e-vaulting. So now they are talking about high availability. We have already discussed that high availability can be achieved. So we're just skipping this section. Uh, Virtualization we have already completed. Now coming to replication. So they are shown a new tree for the replication. So if you talk about replication is of two types. One is known as the local replication, other is the remote replication. Then software, hardware. So in the software, we are having a clone and a snapshot. Then remote replication, we have synchronous, asynchronous, and hardware-based synchronous, asynchronous. So this is a complete tree. So you have to identify that how clone works and how snapshot works, and what is a synchronous application and what is a asynchronous application. And this local and remote tells about the location of the replication site. That means if you are keeping the copy of replication on the same site as the primary site, then it will be a local replication. If you are keeping the keeping the data on a remote site, then it will be a remote replication. So first, go through what is local and remote replication. A local replication or remote replication differentiate themselves by the boundaries of operations. If the application is restricted within a compute node or storage node, then it's called a local replication. And that means if you are keeping the storage replication side by using a TCP/IP communication, TCP/IP link, then it will be a remote replication. And if you are using a storage device inside the same premises, then it will be a local replications. Now, this is divided into two categories. One is the clone copies, and other is the snapshot. So, clone copies are needs 100% capacity allocated for the target volume. That means if this is your data to be copied and this is your uh, clone copies, so it will be copying as a whole. So 100% capacity will be required. And now incremental operations are possible. Then if we have stored first full copy, then we can increment our clone copies. That means only the changes will be stored. Then hardware based cloning puts restriction on the number of clones that to be produced. uh, Cloned, it can be independent, safe golden copy independent of the primary volumes. Okay, so one point of clone is that the clone copies are independent. That means you can take it as use it as a single copy. Now if we compare it with a snapshot doesn't having 100% of capacity, but these are very quick. So it is kind of stores a snapshot of the current system, not the whole data. So more number of copies possible when compared to cloning, because it requires less number of space. Generally used for taking backups, one or the more managed to address corruptions or virus attacks. They are dependent on the healthy primary volume. So this is something like a snapshot means this is your healthy primary volume, and what we have taken a snapshot from this volume. Okay. Now, technologically, how this snapshot is taken, you have to go through for that. But ideally, just understand this thing that clone copies is the exact copy of the primary volume, but snapshots are not the exact copy of the primary volume. Now, remote replication indicates the movement of data across two or more physical systems. So, generally, TCP/IP is used for this kind of communication. So, it is plays a major role because remote application are normally stored in a distinct site. So in case of primary sites, there is a disaster, we can use this remote data from the remote replication. The replication happens across systems are separated by a distance. Okay, that is there. So it affects cost, complexity of the technology, interoperability. These are the problems associated with remote application, because if we are sending the data from one side to other side, we are having several issues like delay, then corruption of the data might be there, or kind of security risk will be there. So these are some problems associated with remote application. But remote Okay, I have skipped some slides. You can go through by them. Now I'm just explaining you how synchronous and asynchronous works. Uh, this is a example of synchronous replication. So this is your primary side, this is your secondary or remote side, and this is your server or host. In step one, host write comes into the local system. That means whatever the data is stored in this local data. Then update is sent over the secondary or remote system. So this update is sent on the remote side, then update acknowledgement is received from the secondary side. So this was one step, this was second step, and this is your third step. After this, host is acknowledgement, that this acknowledgement is received to the server host. So what is happening is, this picture is not so clear. This is happening something like this. First, the data is written on this site. This is your local primary site. Then this data is directly written again to a remote site. That means this is your primary copy of the data and this is your secondary copy of data. As this data is written in the first step, the next step will be this the data is written to the remote site only. And this and third step, there is a acknowledgement received from the local site that this particular data has been written successfully. And after that, the server host will be receiving this that the data is written on the secondary side correctly. Okay. So in synchronous application, the synchronous application, you can easily understand something like this, that local and remote site will always having a consistent copy of the data. That means either we take local data or we take the remote data, both will be same all the time. So this provides a zero RPO time. The distance between sites plays a major role. So this because of the delay, the distance plays a major role. Higher distance will increase response time to the host. It recommends to use a low latency links to establish communication between them. So what is required, that the link between a remote site and primary site should be with minimal delay or less distance. So delay should be there. That means that distance can be 1,000 kilometer or 5,000 kilometer, but the speed of the link should be fast enough so that the data delay will not come into picture. Now, in case of in asynchronous application, first the data is written, then this is particular acknowledgement received to the writer. After this, the local site copies the data to the remote site. That means this is not a synchronous way of writing the data. That means first data is written on the local site, then secondary site, and then acknowledgement received. The data is directly written to the local site and the acknowledgement has been received. After that, a write back process goes through and copies the data to the secondary site. Now, this is a site topology, and second is a three-site cascaded three-site topology. So, in case of two-site topology, we have one primary site and secondary site, and all in between there can be a synchronous link or asynchronous link. Now, if you talk about the three-site topology, so three-site will consist of primary site, near DR site, and DR site. So between the primary and near DR site, we always use a synchronous application. So when you look at this picture and this picture, we have option of synchronous, but in this particular example, the link is fixed, that between the primary site and near DR site, we will have a synchronous replication, and between a near DR site and DR site, we have a asynchronous replication. This also ensures the zero RPO, and multi-target three-site topology will have a synchronous link between near DR site and DR site. So this is an added advantage because this copy and this copy are same. So in case of there is something happening on this point, we can use this communication link to fetch the data to the DR site. Now talking about the DR drill. So drill is something when we are practicing a kind of scenario. So there may be, you have seen like fire drill or earthquake drill. So similarly, a DR drill happens, which practices that in the case of disaster, how the disaster response team responses, but this is in the scenario of IT infrastructure only. So it's something like we shut down some server and check that how this can be maintained to recover all the data, or we can show that if the connectivity from the database is lost, how the system responds. So this is a kind of practice scenario. So DR drill is important to check that how the system responds in the case of disaster. Okay, so this concludes this particular discussion, today's discussion. So if something is skipped, you can go through that. Though that will be easier topic. So if you want ask any question, so I have complete.
हेलो
Yes,
सर, मैं ये
Gaurav.
पूछ रहा था कि जो आप बता रहे थे, मतलब ये जो पीडीएफ है जिससे आप बता रहे हैं सर, वो
हम्म।
आप सोर्सेज में प्रोवाइड कर देंगे?
अभी नहीं प्रोवाइड की क्या मैंने? आई थिंक यूनिट 1 तो प्रोवाइड कर दिया था, मैं प्रोवाइड कर देता
हाँ,
हूँ।
ठीक है।
सेम लिंक फॉलो करना है तुम्हें, जो
हाँ, तो आप ड्राइव में डाल
जिसपे
दीजिए
तुम्हें
मेरी।
जिसपे तुम्हारी बाकी सारी साइट्स है ब्लैक बोर्ड के लिंक से, वहीं से उस पे पहुंच जाना। मैंने पीपीटी ऐड कर दी।
ठीक, थैंक यू सर।
ओके। तो टेस्ट और क्विज़ेस अभी आपके एक टेस्ट और एक क्विज कंडक्ट होगा, जो कल परसों या किसी भी एक डे में इसी वीक के अंदर में कंप्लीट करूंगा। So just go through. That means before 25th, there will be one quiz and one test. So be prepared for that. Okay, so I'm closing the session now. And you should go to this Blackboard. In the Blackboard, there and one more thing, every content is also available on the Blackboard. It's up to you where you can find, but I have shared the PPT in the Blackboard link.
सर, आपने जो असाइनमेंट 2 दिया था उसमें अब सारी यूनिट्स कवर्ड हैं या कुछ यूनिट्स बच गई हैं?
पूरी कवर नहीं है,
अच्छा सर,
बट
फिर
आई एम
आप
नॉट
असाइन
सपोज टू गिव वन मोर असाइनमेंट। अब जो बाकी बचा हुआ है वो टेस्ट के थ्रू आप कवर कर लें।
टेस्ट ऑनलाइन या मतलब
टेस्ट
आप
तो ऑनलाइन
क्वेश्चन
ही होगा जब तक एग्जाम ऑनलाइन होना है। हाँ, टेस्ट ब्लैक बोर्ड पे ही होगा।
ओके सर। सर बट
ओके।
जो एसएसएम वाले उनके लिए तो टेस्ट एप्लीकेबल नहीं है, फिर वो क्या करेंगे?
ओके, सो एसएसएम वाले अगर टेस्ट नहीं भी देना चाहते तो वो नहीं दे, मतलब उनका देना कंपलसरी नहीं है। अगर वो देना चाहते हो तो दे दे, देयर मार्क्स विल नॉट बी एवेल्युएटेड, बट वो क्वेश्चन पेपर तुम्हारे इस पे ब्लैक बोर्ड पे अवेलेबल होगा, तो तुम अगर अभी टेस्ट नहीं देना चाहते तो तुम क्वेश्चन पेपर देख सकते
अच्छा, आप क्वेश्चन पेपर अवेलेबल करा देंगे सर?
हो।
ओके ओके, थैंक यू सर।
ओके।
एक पॉइंट